Here's my first attempt at tying in this little blue box. Let's cover that shank. Okay, and then for the tail, we're just going to use a rubber band. We'll just cut it. I like to make a little point. You don't have to, but I like to kind of have that curve up versus down. I like that curve going up, and that'll change as you use the fly anyway. Right here, bring it on back. Boom. Now, first thing we're gonna do is, you know, I usually use gray or brown, you know, for the different rabbit for the top. And we're gonna start with this gray. We're just gonna tie her in like so. We're gonna come, and when we lay it over, we wanna make sure that hair is following back, and we're following the structure of the hair here. It's really cold outside. The other morning it was negative 25. See there? Okay. Let's put that aside for the moment. And then I'm going to take a piece of white. I think this is 1/8" rabbit strips, straight cut. You know, pretty thin. You don't need primo stuff. All we're going to do is just kind of come in here, tie that in. And you could also use, you know, MFC has some wire brushes that are rabbit, and they're really nice to use, but they are kind of expensive. So, you know, we'll just start with this. So we're just going to wrap this around. And we want to make sure this leather is laying just along with each other, and you don't want to try and wrap too much. So I'm going to go here, and I think we're going to tie it in right off the top there. We're just going to grab it, and we're going to pull that stuff back. 1, 2, let's see, and then we just come in, cut that. Now we're going to clean up that head a little bit. We're going to make a little bit of a bed for that gray to sit on top. And I'm starting to see that I don't like that little bit of leather there. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So there's the underbody, and we're just going to take this, and you could trim that if you wanted to. I just kind of leave it a little bit more mass hair floating around. We're going to come in here. We're just going to go there. And you see how I kind of pull that rabbit just to check it. And then 3 wraps. Boom. Okay. So there's the back. You know, now I have added legs and stuff like that, but I just keep it very simple. You know, when you're tying a lot of these, or, you know, they get chewed up, it's like you don't want to spend too much time on them. I just give it a little whip, cut. Solera's bone dry, just not even that much, just barely any. Cure it. That's it. Now, for the front, we're going to put a shank. And these are 25 millimeter articulated shanks. Pretty heavy wire, but I love these things. They have kind of an upturned eye. They just, for surface flies, they really swim well. Now open that up. And I put it through there. Okay. And then we're going to go, I take that hook point and I put it in there. And then just, it's in. So, now we're going to restart with our thread. We're going to close up that gap there. We can come up here and close up this gap too. Okay. Now, we're going to add that gray again, just like we started the back. But this time, I'm going to leave it just a little bit off the back. Like a little, just to cover that connection. Like that. I'm going to split that hair. First, I'm going to put my thread where I want it to be. I'm going to just cinch that in. Give it a couple nice sturdy wraps. And then I'm going to put that off to the side for a second. Now, we want to leave a gap here. So basically where I close that, where that taper is, I want to leave that open because we're going to have to put ears and a head, and I might even put a little in the glow in the dark tab right there. So we want to only bring everything right here. So if I just tie in that rabbit, you know, I'm not going to get so much material there. So I might want to build up this shank a little bit and maybe add to the buoyancy. So I might take, you know, one of these little foam pieces and just lightly wrap it in here. And then I just wrap it around the shank. Just to build up the diameter of that shank so I can fit more of that white rabbit on and, you know, create a little bit more splat, carry a little bit more material. So now I'm just going to come in, I'm going to kind of taper this. I'm going to come back here. I'm just going to pinch it right in there. No biggie. And then I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to bring this around. And this is really going to, there's a lot of material that just got wrapped around because of that foam. And that foam, you know, it kind of feels a little squishy. Maybe that's what it feels like, a mouse in their mouth. That's just goofy, but we're going to come here. That off. Rabbit is a very forgiving material. Now I'm going to bring this over, like so. Oops. And trim that. Okay. So you can see there, it looks pretty good. We're going to just tighten that up. when I get down, where you can see how I keep my bobbin, the nose of my bobbin right over that. I'm putting tons of pressure on right there, just torquing on it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 ears off the side. That's going to kind of help with the width to kind of push water to make that big wake, you know, that we're looking for when we're fishing surface flies at night. And then I probably, you know, Denny actually showed me a couple of years they were fishing, you know, glow in the dark on their flies, and I started doing it, and I thought it was just fantastic, especially if somebody was just new getting into fly fishing or getting into mouse fishing. They could see their fly and how it moved across the surface. So I'm going to put a glow in the dark tab in there too. But right now, let's get back to the ears. And I have the foam here. It's 3mm, you know, same color, brown foam. You can see where I've cut some ears out before. And basically, it's just, you know, half of a heart is what I do. I thought I had one cut out here, but maybe not. Oh yeah, right here. So yeah, so about like that. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just take, and oh, I already started here. I put that straight edge right on there, and then basically just hold it, and I take those scissors. Oops, it's tough working around this little tripod. And then, you know, there's 2 ears right there. There's your heart. Cool. So they don't need to be super clean. You know, maybe this mouse is a fighter. But I do put the straight edge, the factory edge, I guess you could say, in the middle. And I go right here like this. I have my thread started right up against where I want that crease to be. And I just give a couple medium turns. And then I just kind of work my way up and then back. And then I get back to where I started. So there's 1 ear. And then keep losing that. Oh, there it is. Ear. So then straight edge on the inside. And we're going to put it over here. And just boom. And just medium pressure. And then start working your way up. And you know, if you get a little rabbit caught in there, it doesn't matter. You know, with these big flies, it's easy to fix. So there, so that's that for now. And you can, let me see here if I can kind of turn this, kind of get a look. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Now, here's Hairline glowing sheet Al Woods Atomic Glow. It's expensive. Look at that. Holy moly. But I have some that I saved that Denny gave me years ago, and I've been protecting this, like saving it like it's gold. So what I'm going to do is come in here. I'm going to cut a long strip like that. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glow side and put it down so the non-glow side's up. I'm just going to stick it right here. A little crease there, but we don't need to worry about that. And then we're going to fold it over. And then there's your little glow-in-the-dark tab. have to do this step, but if you're into this sort of thing, it's pretty fun. And like I said, I think it helps a lot of people when they first start mouse fishing. They're moving that fly maybe not enough or maybe too fast, and you know, you put this fly out there, that glow in the dark, you can see how fast that fly is moving. Is it moving too fast, too slow? And it's really cool if when they come up and eat it, it's like it just disappears, you know. So there's that. So you can kind of see, got a little bit of cleaning up we can do down here. So I'll bring that thread back up. Just clean that up. And I got a nice taper, okay? Now, everything's been pretty easy here on out. And now we're going to get into the interesting part. So we're going to go to our noodle foam, fettuccine foam. And I'm going to long strip, so I'm actually going to cut this in half. And you could make your own foam, you know, with a square and an X-Acto knife. So then I've got 7 strips here. So I'm going to put this on top. And I got my thread where I want that stuff to go, and I'm going to come around. I'm not going to pull down real hard. I'm just going to ease into this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just increasing pressure. All right, so there's that. Now, when I first started tying this fly, I would just take a big wad and just flop it on there, trim it off. But the last 2 seasons, I've been kind of doing a little bit more of clumps on the sides and stuff, trying to make that head a little thicker. And what I'm going to do is just start taking my thread and running it through all of these. You don't need to get through every one of them, but it's just going to makes the head a little more durable. Good. Good. And then I come back into where I was in the beginning, or around about there. And now I'm going to take a clump here and a clump here. But not as big. I think I'm going to do 4 pieces on this side. Just right through there, and then just 1. Oh, there's a dog in my room. What are you doing, sweetie? And then I'm running that thread right through there. And then I go back. And I want to come over to this side. You can see that. And I'm going to take 4 more pieces. And I'm going to put them over here. One. Now it's going to start getting a little bit hard. You're going to have to kind of zigzag your way. See that? In there. And, you know, sometimes I've had it where, you know, I accidentally tie one down. It's like, well, I'll just cut it. You know, I mean, no big deal. Fly still fish. And then like that. And then now I'm going to try and get my thread up to the front here. And that's pretty nice and tight. There we go. Oh. There we go. Boom. Okay, now I have just the guts of a pen, you know, and I'm just going to do some half hitches here. I'm going to glue the bottom under that foam. I mean, it's going to be solid as a rock. So I'm doing, call it good. No reason. Sometimes, you know, doing whip finishes on this stuff half hitches if you're using a lot of glue. So this is when I'm going to use a little bit more glue. I'm just going to coat this underside. Perfect. Burn it. All right. So this is what she looks like right now. Very, I don't know, poltergeist-like. But what we're going to do now is we're going to trim, and we're just going to start right here, and I start up front, and I just go short, and then I start just making them longer as I go up. Longer, longer, longer. Trimming that up. And I kind of match on the sides. I match the length on the top. Same for the front. Just kind of building a taper. You know, you can always cut more off. It's hard to add it back on once you cut it off. So that's my rule usually. Take a look at it. I might trim it down just a little bit more now. It's looking pretty good. And let's just take that one down a little bit. Cool. Now, this past summer, I tried doing the spaghetti, the fettuccine foam all the way around, you know, so it was like a big head. And I noticed the fly would do a lot more rolling around. But with it, none on the bottom, it sits nice and flat and then just swims. But I think that's pretty good. You know, I mean, you're using, you know, usually 12 to 15 pound, 10 to 15 pounds, so it's easy enough to thread through there. You just kind of push that foam back, jam it in there, and that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at it. So you can see there, you know, it's nice and articulated. It's about the size, you know, size of a mouse, maybe a little small, but that's okay. You don't need them to always be, you know, monstrous. See if I can get it in there for you. But yeah, that glow-in-the-dark tab's really fun. And here's your hook. You know, I mean, it's a great fly. And those ears are going to push a lot of water. It's going to be pretty easy to throw. And yeah, I've had a lot of success with it. And I've had a lot of clients that have had a lot of success with it. So, yeah, and that's the FettuccineMouse. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.